What's going on, guys? In this video, I'm sharing with you 6 reasons why you should absolutely not start a business. It's a terrible thing to do. Get the idea right out of your head. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Faris Sabati, co-founder and CEO of MySwimPro, and in this series, I help entrepreneurs take their business to the next level. And if you have an idea for starting your own business, I'll equip you with the tools and the right entrepreneurial mindset to take those first steps. If that sounds interesting to you, make sure you give the channel a big subscribe and like this video to stay up to date with entrepreneurial tips and tricks. Now let's get right into the video. The first reason you should absolutely not start a business is because you're not ready for the commitment. Entrepreneurship is hard, it takes time, it's a grind, and a lot of people certainly underestimate this. Specifically, starting a business will take over your entire life. Literally, it's 24/7, 365. Every single week of the year. You cannot get your mind off of the business. And it really does take over your life. You have to be willing to commit years, if not decades of your life to solving this one specific problem. If you're used to that 9-to-5 grind, come in, punch out, and working on the same problem for maybe 2 years and then move on to another company, building a business is completely different. And those are reality shocking to people who take the leap and start their own company. So if you're thinking about starting a business, you definitely have to consider that. You'll also work hard. How hard? Really hard. And you're gonna work hard all the time. It's not 9 to 5. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. I think 24/7 is actually a little bit blown out of proportion. You're not actually working 24 hours of the day, but unlike a 9 to 5 job where you work 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, maybe a little bit here and there on the weekends, you might be working 10 to 12 to 14, 15 hours, 7 days per week, which is completely different than the 9 to 5. The second reason why you should not start a company is because you might need structure to your life. And if you're on the mindset and personality that you need someone to tell you what to do, in entrepreneurship and startups, no one will tell you what to do. No one will give you feedback on how good of a job you're doing in the first place. There is no predefined path. It's not like you have a set job description. Your job description as an entrepreneur is to find a problem, solve the problem, make money so you can keep solving that problem. If you go to a normal job, you're gonna have a set predefined job responsibilities. You're gonna know what you're supposed to do in the 9 to 5. So if you're someone who needs a lot of structure, you should not start a company. You also must be able to set the direction and the projects that you work on. Oftentimes in a bigger company, you might have an entrepreneurial role inside of the company, but there's still some kind of a directive given and you know the direction you're supposed to go. If you're gonna take that entrepreneurial plunge and you're gonna take those first steps, you have to be able to set the direction, and you're often gonna do this on very, very little information. Now, the third reason why you might not want to start a company is the fear of uncertainty. And if you're starting a startup, you're starting a business, it's a really hard choice between a startup and a big company. And if it is a decision that you have to make, then you probably shouldn't start a company. You should probably go work for a big company because they are so radically different. There is so much uncertainty at working in a startup, working in a smaller environment, when things have not really been determined and you're still figuring stuff out, as opposed to working at a big company. There's a lot less uncertainty. Uncertainty could be in the direction that you're going, in the finances. If you want to make a lot of money, it's a lot easier to do that working at a big company rather than working for yourself or working for other people where you're not confirmed that you're going to actually get paid. So that's a huge consideration. Now, of course, there are finances to play into effect. So let's say, for example, you do want to start a company and all the things we're going to talk about don't really apply to you, but there's a financial situation and you might need to work at that corporate job, make that cash flow and save it so that one day you're in a financial position to be able to do that. And if that's you, more power to you. That's awesome. Give a huge like for everyone on the video that's working on their side hustle. It's super important that you evaluate and reflect and do some self-awareness to make sure that you're in a financial position so that you can de-risk some of this uncertainty that might be unnecessary. You will most likely fail. This is a hard reality. And so if you're not a fan of that uncertainty of that you have to be right and you have to get everything correct, building a startup is not for you. Starting a business involves a lot of failure. And so when I say you will most likely fail, it doesn't mean the business will fail, but you will fail and you will take many wrong steps here and there. These are opportunities to learn. If you don't see them as an opportunity to learn, you're gonna set yourself up for a lot of anxiety, depression, and it's not gonna feel very good. So I don't want you to feel bad. You're always trying to do things that make you feel good in life. And if you're gonna build anxiety that's unnecessary and you can't handle this uncertainty, you should definitely not start a company. Now, the fourth reason you might not want to start a company is because you don't have the determination or the ambition to do so in the first place. If you expect things to come to you and you want them to be handed on a silver platter, it doesn't really work like that in a startup. If you work at a bigger company, you might have a lot of resources around you. Things come to you, literally. When you're building a startup, it might just be you on your own. And if you don't have the determination, the intrinsic drive, that ambition to take action and make stuff happen, it's just not gonna work and you shouldn't do it in the first place. That's a waste of your time. You should be better off taking your energy and your passion and your resources and applying it to something that doesn't really involve that self-determination. More specifically, I would say that determination is the single biggest factor in success in starting a business. Not how smart you are, not how good looking you are, none of that stuff matters. Even how much money you have. A lot of that is really secondary to the fact of if you do not have the determination to make it happen, it's not gonna happen at all. So you could have no money. You might not be the smartest person in the room. You might not have the most resources available to you, but it doesn't really matter because if you're determined, you will find a way. People who find that determination, that intrinsic drive, they'll figure it out. When there's a will, there is a way. Companies don't build themselves. That is the fact. You have to put yourself out there and you have to put in the work. And you have to be like 007. I made an awesome video, the 7 personality traits that entrepreneurs share with James Bond 007. I'll link that in the description, so make sure you check it out and give that a big like. I dress as James Bond in the tuxedo. And the reason why I say you have to be like James Bond 007 is because you have to be relentlessly resourceful. You might not have the resources available to you, but if you are determined, you will seek out and you will find what is available to you and you will make it happen. Just like James Bond, just like 007. So you have to have determination. No determination, do not start a company. Don't even think about it. Throw the idea out the window. The fifth reason why you should not start a company is if you want to be the boss. This is probably the biggest misconception in entrepreneurship is the fact that if you start a company, if you start a business, you go on to work for yourself, you don't have to listen to the man or the woman, whoever it is that you're listening to, that you're gonna be free. You're gonna have this freedom that you never had at the corporate big company job. That is not true. That is the opposite of how it actually works. If you're an entrepreneur, you're nodding your head, yup, I'm not the boss. So there's a few people that are your boss when you start a company. Number one, it is your customers, your clients, the people that you're trying to serve, that you're solving the problem for, that you're transacting with, that are paying you to solve the problem for them. Whether it's a restaurant, a software, some kind of a service, it doesn't matter what kind of company that you have, you are working for your customers, your clients, you don't work for yourself. The second group of people that you work for is your team. If you're lucky enough to have co-founders or team members and you've hired people, advisors, you work for them. They're the ones who are executing on the vision. I did an awesome video of what a CEO actually does. What does the founder do? The 3 most important jobs. And ultimately, they are serving and recruiting a team and they're working for them. I'll link that video in the description. But ultimately, you are working for your customers, for your team. You're working for your partners. If you have industry relationships, if you have business development that leads into clients, you work for them. How can you help them? They will help you. And if you have investors, you work for your investors. They gave you money to do something with the money. So that doesn't really sound like you're working for yourself. If someone is handing you cash to deliver on something and you exchanged a piece of the company, equity, or you exchanged in a loan, it doesn't really matter how you acquire the financing. You are no longer controlling your own destiny in that scenario. I also did an awesome video, 10 different ways to fund your business. I'll link that in the description as well. And the 6th reason you should not start a company is if you want to be rich. Money. That is the worst reason to start a company. Yes, you could make money. Similarly, you could make money doing anything. You should not start a company to make money. Entrepreneurship is about solving problems, not making money. The reason why you start a business and why you should be an entrepreneur, why you should start a business, is because you're passionate about solving a problem in the world. And you believe that you have the unique opportunity and the unique experience, insight, passion to go ahead and solve that problem and take those steps. If you think there's an opportunity to make money, it's not gonna work for all of the reasons we just talked about because it's gonna be hard to commit. You're not gonna have the structure. You're gonna have so much uncertainty and you're just gonna give up if you're not solving a problem that you're passionate about. So that is number one. Problems are the key, not making money. Solve problems. Because quite frankly, You can make a lot more money doing anything outside of the entrepreneurial world. Go work on Wall Street. Go do some growth hacking stuff online, sitting from your couch. You don't have to put yourself out there and start a company to make money. Plenty of ways in today's technologically driven world to make money that have nothing to do with starting a company. I will not be linking any of those resources in the description because you can just Google them, how to make a lot of money. Don't do that. And the final reason why you should not start a company, absolutely not, this is a bonus, is if you're an asshole. That's right, asshole. You should not start a company if you're a jerk. Do you know why? Because starting a company is really hard. You depend on a lot of people to support you and bring your vision to life. And you know who's not gonna appreciate you being a jerk? All of the people that you work for, all of your customers, all your clients, your team members, your partners, your investors. You have to be genuinely a good person, and you have to put yourself out there. You have to be willing to help others. And if you're not willing to do that and you are a jerk, do not start a company. So there you have it. 6 reasons, 7 if you include the bonus, of why you should absolutely not start a company. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you give it a big like. It helps out the channel a lot. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more entrepreneurship tips. I have another video recommendation for you guys. It is my TEDx talk that I gave. I'll link in the description. How I took my idea for my Swim Pro and built it into a company that turned into App of the Year. I'll link that in the description. Another video I highly recommend, how I took my idea for starting a startup and turned it into a startup in 54 hours at Startup Weekend. That video will be linked in the description. As always, take care, stay safe, and keep hustling.